Can you share a pivotal moment in your spiritual journey that significantly impacted your perspective? As a writer, how do you approach conveying complex spiritual concepts in a relatable manner? What inspired you to explore spirituality and its role in modern society? Hello everyone, it's good to be back. I'm coming back after a long time recording a video in a proper studio, so that's exciting. So I'm here to record some questions that many of you have asked me and the team more about the journey, about spirituality, about all kinds of topics. So I'm here to share my answers with you, whatever that comes through this time. So let's get on with that. And then we'll also be recording a podcast today, which we'll be sharing with you later on. So let's go with the questions first. What inspired you to explore spirituality and its role in modern society? I think my inspiration to spirituality came from a very simple idea, or which was not mine, but came from a kind of desperate space of suffering that I was feeling in myself. Even though I'd achieved many things and attained the things I always wanted to do in New York, or be it in India as well, I've been going through quite a, you can say, a rebirthing death process in the last 6-8 months, which forced me to relook at everything in life again. I felt very depressed for months. I felt very anxious for months. I went through a severe mental health situation where I felt that whatever I'd been doing for last years, which may be helping people, writing books, whatever it was lacking some sense of meaning or some sense of identity for me, in the sense that I was getting too attached to being Kartikeya, the writer, and I was getting too attached to the other parts of the whole story, the character itself, then coming back to the awareness and asking myself, who am I? And this question of who am I came from the depths of me in these last months, where many things happen, which I don't want to go into detail of. Many life events happen all at the same time, which forced me to really relook at everything. In the sense, I did same thing 7-8 years ago when I left New York and I went to the Amazons and I went seeking for answers. This time, it was not about seeking for answers. It was just about finding my inner calm and peace through all of it. And of course, the world situation and everything was not helping, because whatever I was seeing, I was seeing it from a certain perspective and a certain lens, which was turning out to be a negative lens, in the sense that I was seeing a world scenario where I thought that humans were getting too lost in their own selves, and the worldly systems were too much contained by their own corruption and greed and hatred for one another, and separation. You know, the egos I felt the egos in the world have become so large that I couldn't disassociate myself from it. And I was feeling very overwhelmed by the whole thing. I still at times feel overwhelmed by the whole thing. But there's been a great shift in my own understanding of my own inner peace, of spirituality, of what it means to be alive in this body, what it means to be present in this moment, and sharing my truth with myself, with my close people, and then sharing it with other people. So it's been a really been a 360 kind of, or 180, you can say, relook at myself and my own journey of sharing and exploring truth in myself and sharing whatever came through that with others. So yeah, it's been I know I'm just blabbering a lot, but it's a lot of things, and I'll share more with time. I'll answer more questions with time. I'll get to the next question. But yeah, it's been a very humbling last 6, 8, 9 months, which have really made me relook at everything and recalibrate everything to re-identify myself through my soul, and bringing that into this game that we're all in, you know, this Maya, this illusion that we're all playing, and playing it very consciously. So that was the first question. Can you share a pivotal moment in your spiritual journey that significantly impacted your perspective? The moment I'm in now, my last 6-8 months of life have completely altered the sense of what spirituality meant for me, what life has meant for me, what being in this body has meant for me. And I know I've said these things many times in the past, but truly this time it has been really navigating the depths of the unknown waters, of the shadows of the sea, finding myself in the deepest, darkest corners of my own mind, of this, dimension and worldly dimensions that are there that we cannot see, finding myself navigating through them without seeing any light for months, and having to go through all of it, seeing all the fears for months, for witnessing events in my life with people and situations that were so out of control and so obnoxious and so dramatic that my mind felt completely lost. I felt completely broken down from the depths of my being. So it has been a true reincarnation of sorts in this body in itself, of reliving this life. So this whole chapter that has completely reshaped my entire self, my entire identity of myself. It's reshaping, not just reshaped, it's still happening. And it's completely brought to light my own light and my own connection with divinity in myself, and the understanding of spirituality, that it is not about what you are outside of this body or outside of this, in this world. It is about your true connection with God and love and divine inside you, and how you experience that in yourself without you having to share that with others, without you having to write about it, without any of it. Because in these months I've struggled being a writer, I've struggled being everything that my whole identity was shaped around in last almost a decade. So yeah, I'm very humbled by it. My ego has been shattered by it, and a new sense of everything has begun from this whole process, which I never thought it would be like this. It was like living through an acid or ayahuasca trip for 9 months non-stop. So it's been quite an intense period, but in the most humbling way possible. Okay, next question. How do you navigate the intersection of different religions and spiritual beliefs in your work? By accepting everything and not letting other people's words, opinions, narratives define the experience within myself. And I think this is something very important in today's time, very necessary for the young people, because we are so influenced, conditioned, and made to believe in certain set of views depending on where we are born and where we come from, that we hold a lot of loyalty to all of that. But the real sense of spirituality, for me at least, in my opinion, is to break everything and to reimagine based on our own experiences and understanding that we gain through our own internal mechanisms, not through our mind. Our mind can be very limiting, can be very linear, can be very dualistic. So we have to expand our consciousness beyond the mind. We need to access different dimensions beyond the mind to be able to get clarity through situations, through these mediums of information. We live in an age of information where there's so much information out there. You can go on your YouTube and Instagram and there's millions of people talking about different things. That is not the truth. Maybe it is for them, but it's not your truth. So you need to figure out what is the truth for you inside and what gives you peace in your day-to-day life. And that peace, that connection with divinity and love in yourself, and that you share with others. So that for me is simplifying spirituality and truth on a very micro level. And that is what I see, that is how I see it as, and how I am trying to implement in my life. Okay, next question. As a writer, how do you approach conveying complex spiritual concepts in a relatable manner? If it's too complicated and complex, it's distraction. You gotta come back to truth in the most simplistic, humble way, and that is your life. If you're in peace internally through whatever means you're doing in the today, if you're more in love, if your actions are based out of love, if your actions are based out of humility, if your actions with your loved ones are based out of not acting but truth and how you're feeling, they're holding space for you, you're holding space for them, and you are sharing that with other. Spirituality is a byproduct of who you are, not the other way around. And this is what I am realizing more and more every day. It's not about what you show to other people. It's not about what you become for other people. It's about who you are in yourself, and accepting that, fully becoming one with that, and sharing that with others with as much love and compassion as possible for yourself and for others. So spirituality is about self-love. It's about acceptance. It's about truth in your own self and living that in the most simplistic, humble way in your day-to-day life. It's very simple. If it's too complex, then it's something else. It's a game for your mind. It's something for your intellect to play with and enjoy with. And trust me, I have a very intellectual brain, an analytical brain, and it loves to analyze everything and loves to write stories. You know, it's my profession. But in the deepest of sense, spirituality is not complex at all. Next question. What role do you believe spirituality plays in addressing global challenges such as climate change and social justice? Oh, it plays a huge role. It plays the biggest reason we're not able to understand climate change and social justice is because there's a sense of separation in our systems. Because our egos are so rampant that we are not connected to nature. We see one another as different. We have religions, we have castes, we have these communities, and we constantly are differentiating amongst ourselves based on race, religion, nations. All of this comes from a sense of ego, comes from a sense of separation. Spirituality is the opposite. It brings us closer together. It makes us realize we're all one. We're all here temporarily living in this form through one name or the other, just here to experience life. And when we start understanding that, we start integrating more with nature. We start integrating more with one another. This is how indigenous people lived for thousands of years. They're still living like that in Amazon till now, where they pray to plants, where they live with love, where they live with an understanding of family. All of these things that I've talked about in my book through my own experiences and understanding. Till the time we believe we are better or worse or separate from the other people and this world and nature itself, we will never truly be able to find peace within, and we'll never truly be able to come together and solve problems from an understanding that is wholesome. We'll always be missing the point. So spirituality is the crux of everything. The more we meditate, the more we go deeper into these things, people raise in their consciousness, 9 out of 10 problems can get solved, and 7 out of 10 problems will find solutions much quicker and faster because we'll be working together. So it's the core of everything, and this is what's missing the most in India right now. A place where we have a history of all of it, but people are very lost right now. I totally believe this. We're starting to remember, we're starting to come back, but there's a huge scope for this movement to grow, of people becoming more conscious, people becoming more self-aware, and people inquiring with themselves, who am I? Really, on a very deep essence, not just in their mind. Okay, how do you think technology, particularly social media and YouTube, is shaping the discourse around spirituality and religion? I think there are two sides to the coin, like always, the good sides and the bad sides. What I'm doing right now is also sharing spirituality and religion and these topics through social media and through YouTube. And this is something I've struggled with a lot as a subject, because there are times where I just go disconnect from Instagram for a year and I come back and blah, 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 blah. So it's about balance. This is what I've understood. It's a tool. Social media is a tool. There's a lot of negativity out there, but there's a lot of people who are also seeking for help through social media who don't have any other tools to access it from. It's a free tool. So my purpose here is also to share whatever I have learned through my experiences, through my struggles, through my understandings, through my pleasures, to share it with people who don't have the access to, so maybe it can trigger them in a positive way. So it's about how you use the tool, how you bring your understanding from an authentic place, from truth, into a platform, a tool that can benefit anybody. It doesn't matter how many people, it matters what you bring. It doesn't matter how many people you're trying to reach, it matters what your message is. The truth can be for few people, but the significance of it is more because it's coming from the deepest parts of your soul. It's not about preaching to the crowd. It's about sharing what is truly coming through you. As someone who writes about spirituality, how do you handle criticism or differing interpretations of your work? Acceptance. You have to accept everyone and everyone's views. This is what a democracy is. This is what tolerance is all about. It's about accepting the people you dislike the most, even their views. And that is what gives you the courage and understanding and love to hold space for everybody. Because it's not about, spirituality is not about imposing your views or truth on other people. That is the opposite of spirituality. That is religion, and that is that is indoctrination, and that has nothing to do with self-exploration and self-awareness or self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is something very personal. It is based on individuals' own understanding of God, and everyone's understanding of God can be very different. Doesn't mean that they're not connected to God. We're all manifestations of God. We're all reflections of God. So however they try to arrive at that understanding in whatever way possible, it's beautiful. We're all trying to go in the same place. It's just our paths can be very different. So it's not about denouncing other people's paths. It's about accepting everybody's path. And in the grand scheme of things, you gotta see everything as one. So if you see the other person as something separate from you, you'll always feel a sense of rejection for their ideas and their views. But if you start seeing it like, oh, maybe I was also something like this at some point in my life, maybe this life, or maybe, I don't know, in other life forms. So if you have that grand view of acceptance for everyone and everything, you are able to not see things as criticism. You just see things as, or discussions or views as something that are just there. It doesn't mean it's yours to take. You can just choose to share what you want to share. So it's just about that. I really like this question, that's why I'm taking this question. How do you see the future of spirituality evolving in the age of digital media and constant connectivity? I'm seeing it evolve every day. I'm seeing it evolve even when I'm doing this. I never thought I would be doing any of these things. I was living in jungles for a few years. So it is evolving in so many ways. I think the key is for us in today's time, in the modern age, in this technological information age, and this is something I tell myself, I'm just sharing it with you guys, is about really being rooted to our ground, to really being grounded in who we are, in our everyday, in not getting too caught up in our mind, in our thoughts, in our ideas, and live up there. Because the whole system, the whole ecosystem we're living in, it's very much up there. So we need to be in our bodies. We need to really ground ourselves in terms of chakra systems. Muladhara chakra, Swadhisthana chakras are very important in today's times. They are the chakras of grounding. They're the chakras of sacredness and sexuality. And these are chakras that are very repressed right now. And they have been very repressed in India for many centuries. Now they're even more repressed. So it's time to expand them, yes, but it's very, very necessary to ground them as well. And this will give us the ability to stay grounded through a lot of challenges that life will throw at us. Because mental health is something, my wife and I were discussing about it. It's not just like one issue right now. It's an epidemic, and we're not talking about it as much as we should. We're talking about all the physical diseases that's out there, but mental health as a phenomenon is becoming more of an epidemic than it ever has, and it will continue to grow because people's lifespans are increasing, health facilities are increasing, people are living longer and longer, and they don't know what to do with their time, and they're spending a lot of time on phones, they're spending a lot of time on technology. So the whole sense of bringing balance into our day-to-day life, where we have distance from our phones, where we have distance from information, where we are able to become aware of what information to let into our minds and what not to, and understanding the difference between propagandas and truth and misinformation and real information. I mean, it's a very crazy time. So there are a lot of challenges I see from the information age and the digital age that is truly affecting the center of humanness. So we need to learn to navigate all of this while still being with our center and still finding peace in our day-to-day. So it's not an easy time for young people. I totally empathize with them more than older generations, because they haven't grown up in the system we are growing up in. And the younger people who are growing up with phones and technology since they're 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, they have never even seen a childhood where they were playing out in the fields with other people. They're stuck in cubicles in their apartments from the get-go. So it's a very different time with its own challenges, and I think we as a human race are simply adapting with the things. Our biology is literally just trying to adapt with the exponential technological changes that have happened. So it's going to take us some time, but bringing awareness to it, breaking the taboos on all of these things is critical for us to start having these discussions openly, start interacting about these things openly, and breaking the taboos on mental health, breaking the taboos on depression, anxiety, on all forms of mental health illnesses that are literally become very, very common now. It's an epidemic, and I'm not making this up. It's something I've been involved in myself. I've been through these things as well, and I can assure you it's a challenging time in that sense for a lot of people. And you're not alone, I guarantee you that. And we will be ensuring that we bring more material for these topics and help as many people as we can through this journey. So thank you very much for all these questions. And I'm very grateful to be back. I'm very grateful for sharing these things. So thank you, everyone.